We want to bring in Matt Schlapp, the chairman of CPAC, along with legal expert Mike Davis, for their perspective on this big day that we had today. And good to see you both. Mike, how do you assess what we saw today? I know he's going to continue to appeal this, even though he was let off with nothing. Go ahead.
Judge Merchan, this partisan, corrupt, dangerous judge, is shameful. We have a president-elect 10 days before he's going to be sworn in as the president, and he has to show up via video to this dingy local courtroom to get sentenced for non-crimes in this case. And it's truly shameful because this judge's daughter, Lauren Merchan, is raising millions of dollars off this case, requiring his recusal, and they railroaded President Trump with non-crimes. They're not putting him in jail because Merchan is revealing what we've known all along. Right. This is purely lawfare and election interference.
Right. And before I get to Matt, Mike, one more quick question. A new DOJ is coming in as well. What will they do with this case? Will they be taking a look at people like Colangelo? Will they be taking a look at people like Merchan?
When you politicize and weaponize intel agencies and law enforcement against your political enemies for non-crimes, that is the very definition of conspiracy against rights. 18 U.S.C. Section 241, a very serious federal civil rights felony. I would say to all these prosecutors, agents, witnesses, judges, and other co-conspirators, lawyer up, because nobody is above the law.
Love that. Matt, the media getting exactly what they've wanted, even though they're got to be so angry about the results of the election, but he's now a convicted felon, right? Take a look.
This is the first time we've had a president-elect and a former president who has been convicted of a felony.
We have a president who's going to be assuming the White House in 10 days, who is a convicted felon.
If you would like to call him a convicted felon, that is a label that now technically applies.
Technically applies. We're going to hear a lot of that, and they're going to use this to some capacity.
Yeah, Martin Luther King Jr. was arrested. Nelson Mandela was arrested. Really, the great political leaders of civilization have been the victims of lawfare. I don't think we ever thought it would hit the shores of America, but what Donald Trump has gone through is a disgrace. But he's powerful and wealthy, and a very unique human being who has nerves of steel, a stiff backbone, and was able to stare them down to the point where he's really humiliated the whole idea of being indicted in this fashion or being a convicted felon in this fashion, because it's all politics. But there are thousands of people, including the people associated with J6, the people who stood up for Trump over the years, who are the quiet, silent victims of this same lawfare. And I have great admiration for what Mike has been doing. He's been very brave. I'd like to team all of us up and get our friends in Congress to pass a bill to pay what the left might call reparations. I'd say just compensation for all the thousands of victims of lawfare. It starts with President Trump, but it goes to people who have had suicides in their family, divorces, complete financial meltdown where they've had to pay lawyers by selling off their retirement funds. Mercy and I have been victims of it at CPAC, other CPAC employees. Anybody who stood up for the Constitution or for Donald Trump during the last 8 years has faced some form of this. And it's time for the DOJ, and I know it's going to be under good hands under Pam Bondi and others, but it's time for the DOJ to pay up, to all these victims, and for us to change the law so that when civil servants use their power to destroy law-abiding Americans who believe in the Constitution, there's a consequence for that. I feel passionately about that, and we've got to change these laws.
I love that. Matt Schlapp and Mike Davis. Good to see you both. Thanks for coming on a Friday night.